Right, so how long did it take for you and your brother to get from being allowed in there to the top sort of position that you were?
Well, it was my dad's pitch, and he'd had it a long while. I can't remember before my time.
But I mean, when you got into taps and they just
when we got in the main ring, my dad never bet in the main ring, not once. But although it was his pitch, we were his reps. You're only allowed to be repped by your son or your brother. Okay, well, my dad's never had a brother, so he was repped by his son John, my brother, and being as me and John are twins, it didn't make a lot of difference who would bet, except John was much better than me at it. We went straight in the main ring in, I think, about 1972, and started cracking away. The reason why you can't necessarily crack away and be a big bookmaker straight away is because you haven't got enough money. You need money to do that. You know, you're not going to win every meeting. You can have bad meetings. You can have losing meetings. But we started well. And in all fairness, the opposition was weak. They'd had it on their own for so long that they used to just, play Jeff Boycott cricket, not going to hit the ball, because I don't have to. They used to just stand still, and they used to bet to a fairly big margin. But of course, because of that, there wasn't a lot of money in the ring. We started changing that, and John especially, my brother. I'll give all the credit to him, not me.
So what would, any particular other bookmakers in the ring that were characters that you remember?
Well, Dougie Tyler, who's recently died, aged 101. Dougie, well done Doug, great innings. He was a good friend of ours, and a friend of my dad's as well. And he was a strong bookie. I remember they interviewed him once at some radio station or something, and they interviewed him and they said, well, why do you come dog racing? He said, I come here to win. That's what he said, and I thought, that's so true. He wasn't interested in greyhounds. He couldn't give a monkeys about greyhounds, or the track, or the bar, or the restaurant. He used to go there to win, and that's what he did, and he did win. He was a very successful bookmaker, Dougie Tyler. And so did we. I mean, we all did. I mean, the fact we used to have fun as well, go in the bar and all that. And John used to buy a bottle of champagne and spray it over the punters. I think he learned that at the boxing. Yeah.
But you were unreliably informed, proper showman on the joint. I mean, what was was that all part of the game?
You do what you do to improve your business. A lot of the bookies in those days had learned they played cricket like Jeff Boycott. Don't hit the ball unless you have to. I can't remember what he said, but I mean, I love Jeff Boycott. I love his commentaries, but to watch him play, what about Trevor Bailey, played for Essex? He'd go like two overs and not play one stroke, because he didn't have to, because it wasn't going to get him out. He was defensive. We weren't defensive. We were if we weren't taking any money, John would alter the prices. He'd put prices up.
So you worked out that there was no punters that were winning long term. So the more you could get out.
Well, you don't know how your punters are going, really, do you? I mean, you get a ticket with a number on it, don't they? Is he winning? Is he losing? I don't know. But no, you just want more business. There's no, oh, look out, here comes so and so. No, I don't remember that ever. The only way you might be a little bit wary of a punter is if he's really, really big. I remember at Wembley one night, I was betting, and don't know why, John might have been at Cheltenham or somewhere, because he used to go racing, John. I never went, hardly at all. But I remember someone said to me, oh, you know who's here tonight? The paper bag man. I said, oh, really? I said, who's the paper bag man? And all of a sudden, the guy's come up to me with the paper bag, and there's a 7-2 on chance. There's a lot of short price favourites at Wembley. And he said, it's 7-2 on. I said, yeah. He said, can I bet a 35,000 to 10 on? He wanted to bet 35 grand at 7-2 on. And he got his paper bag, and the paper bag was full of money. That's why they called him the paper bag man. I gave him a bet. I didn't bet him that much, and it won. But the punters didn't frighten us. Punters don't frighten us.
You were telling me about you're at a meeting in the morning somewhere, and your tic-tac come up and said he had a monkey for one off a professional boxer.
Oh yeah, that's a Hackney Wick. Hackney Wick was different to all other tracks because you got the best breakfast in London there. Do you know you used to go there every Saturday morning? That Irish comedian. It's the way I tell him, that one. Who was that?
Dawson.
No, not Les Dawson. He's not.
No,
Irish.
Frank
Carson.
Frank Carson.
Yeah,
That's right.
he often used to do a club on the Friday night, and Saturday morning on his way to, supposedly on his way to Stansted, I don't know. He'd pop into the Wick, and he used to have a little bet as well, but only 20 quid. And he loved to have a breakfast there on his way to Stansted. That's the way I tell him. And it was a place to go for the East End. You get a lot of people there. How can I call them? Faces, you know, well-known people, well-known at Scotland Yard, a lot of them. Yeah, there's a little bit of money there, you know, at times.
So what was that story with the monkey?
Oh yeah, well, I had a tic-tac called Philly, Little Philly. Anyone who remembers this will remember Little Philly, because he was little. Jewish fella, worked with us for years, a nice guy, and he was a good tic-tac. And he was a nosy little bugger. He used to burrow his way into people's conversations and then come running back and say, I just heard so-and-so say this, lovely, terrific little spy he was. And I'm trying to think of the name of the boxer. There's a boxer at the Wick this Saturday morning. Is it McDermott or... Oh, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. But Philly come down from the stand and he said, I've got a monkey for the five dog from so-and-so, so-and-so. Oh, thanks a lot. You know now that's going to blow up in your hand because so-and-so, so-and-so never used to come to the dogs. He's only come there for one reason, to back that dog. And that's not going to be the end of the money. There's going to be more money for it. So you want to get rid of it. That's like an hand grenade with a pin out. You want to get rid of that. But the market of the Wick wasn't very strong compared to, say, Walthamstow. We get rid of some of it and we do this and we move and do that. Try and do it. You haven't done me no favours doing it. You know. Make him come down and give me the bet. Make him come down and give me the bet. You come down, you think you're doing me a favour. Yeah.
So what sort of money would you stand dogs for at your peak to have losers in the book?
Well, John used to play very big, at Wembley especially, because we had some fairly big punters at Wembley, owner punters mainly. I wouldn't play anywhere near as big as him. And you might say, oh yeah, but you never had them big punters. Well, I know I never had them big punters because they knew they wouldn't get on with me that big. They'd get a fair bet, but, you know, I'm not going to sell my car to pay out. At Walthamstow, we used to take, when we first went in the ring, after it settled down a few weeks, after it settled down, we used to take £1,000 a race to start the meeting, and it would build up, and you might, if it's a good betting heat, take £3,000 on the last couple of races. So that was what we used to take.
So would anybody have accommodated Paper Bag Man's bet then and won it?
Yeah, John did. John let him bet. Well, he never backed a loser, the geezer. I can't remember what he bet with John. I think he bet 90,000 or 20. But he had the money in the bag. That was the amazing thing about him. That was the amazing thing.
You had to ask him where he got it from, I suppose.
No, don't ask him that. That's the last thing you want to ask him.
So at your peak, you were sort of always ahead of the game, always ahead of the market, different ideas. How did you keep coming up with stuff to try and keep ahead of everybody else?
Well, I'm a human being, and my brain works. I'm not going to inherit all that tradition and all the rest of it and think that it's not going to be different. Well, things are different, aren't they? Let's face it. Who would have ever thought of, what's happened to soccer? When I played soccer, you didn't pass backwards. Now they only pass backwards. Never give the ball to the centre half, whatever you do, because he's useless. But now all they do is give it to the centre half.
Now you're talking about football there.
Yeah.
You when the Britain went into Europe, you went into Italy.
Well, when we were in the common market, I might get the names wrong here, but common market or whatever, I think it was 7 countries, wasn't there? and I was reading the regulations and that only through Sunday morning with my feet up. That any business, any legal business in England can trade with any of those other 7 countries legally, but not if it's against the law over there. You can't export stuff that they don't import, and vice versa. You can't import stuff that they don't export. So, and I thought, well, I wonder if we advertise. And I was already talking to a fella from Italy, a good friend of mine. He wasn't Italian, funnily enough. He was Danish, but he spoke Italian. And I thought, because they do bet in Italy, you know what I mean, everywhere. They bet everywhere in Italy. Every barber shop, every cafe. And it's all run by the power, the underground power in Italy, who we won't name. But they don't know what they're doing. It's like, it's you know, they really don't know what they're doing. They're basically punters running a betting shop. And I said, well, I wonder if we put our prices in the newspaper, whether any Italians would bet with us. And so I went to Italy, went to Rome, with a well-connected, how can I put it like that? I'll put it like that, well-connected Italian, and my good friend who was Danish, but he was half Italian. He was half Italian, half Danish, half English. I don't know whether you can be that. But we went to Rome and had a meeting with the editor and owner of this newspaper, which was a newspaper that specialised in lotteries. Like, it gave you tips about what lottery tickets to buy. And he used to sell a few papers. He was all right. It was called the Toto Corriere. And we've put an advert in that paper, cut a long story short, quite a big advert, the whole centre pages of what we were betting on. We were betting on Italian Series A, First Division. It was about it was before the Premier League, so it must have been about 1991, something like that. Yeah, about then. It was the year that Denmark won the European Championships anyway, I know that, because that was a blinding result for us. They beat Germany. And the player who scored a goal played for the Arsenal and never scored another goal. So we went there and investigated it with their lawyers and all the rest of it, and everything's doubled up on in Italy. Everything's crooked, basically. I'm sorry I said that, but it's true. We stuck the advert in the paper, and the phones did not stop ringing from like 5 o'clock in the morning till like for 3 days, answering that advert. People phoning up, yes, I'd love to put a deposit in, because they couldn't have any credit, of course. They used to send us wads and wads of cheques every day.
So how big a telephone place did you need then to handle that?
Well, we had about, I ended up, every Italian in Walthamstow, I recruited, all the restaurants were empty of waiters, so I recruited all the waiters. Do you speak Italian? Yeah, well, come on, oh, you'll do. And they used to, never drank so much black coffee in my life. But anyway, it was an unbelievable success. I had a couple of shops in Cyprus at the time that I've been sort of snookered into getting. I don't know why, but what I had. Don't do that, because you can't win with Cypriots. You can win with Cypriot punters, but you can't win with Cypriot partners. What I did was I rented a really big office in Cyprus, and had to phone. I spoke to the phone company, and we worked it out that when they phoned me in London on the numero verde, which is the green number, which is the free number in Italy, numero verde, they thought they were getting through to London, but I had those calls diverted to Cyprus. It cost me about 7p a call to do that. And so, but the beauty is there's no customs and excise in Cyprus, and there are a lot of them in London. So they were phoning me up.